Sadly, some of the smaller biotech stocks have come roaring back from their lows earlier this year, although most of these names are still well off their 2015 highs. Take Radius Health, a development stage biotech company focused on treating osteoporosis and other endocrine mediated disorders. Well, the stock's had a remarkable rebound. This thing is up more than 130% from its February lows, though it's still down 5% year-to-date because it got crushed by the sector-wide wipeout in January. Now, Radius's lead drug is a treatment for osteoporosis in postmenopausal women. It's just waiting on the FDA to make a decision. We'll know whether or not it gets that approved by, say, March 30th of next year at the latest. It's worth noting that the company just published some very positive Phase 3 clinical trial data earlier this month, showing that it did a terrific job increasing bone density and preventing fractures. So I think the odds are good here. At the same time, the company had some promising results with a transdermal patch version of the same drug, which could get a lot more market share than the injectable version that's coming before the FDA. And they also have an early-stage treatment for a certain type of breast cancer that's still in Phase 1, but we've got to ask about that. Radius' stock, after rocketing higher over the summer, it's been mostly marking time, trading sideways over the past 6 odd weeks. You have to wonder, has it run out of steam, or is this simply a pause that refreshes before another move higher? Well, the company just had its annual investor day today, so let's check in with Bob Ward. He's the president and CEO of Radius Health to hear more about how his company's doing and where it is headed. Mr. Ward, welcome back to Mad Money.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Bob.
Great to be here.
When I was reviewing the notes about your analyst meeting, a lot of people were excited. Two different things they're excited about. One is we got to talk about the breast cancer, but and how those tests are going. But the patch, it seems like a real breakthrough versus what's out there now. Let's talk patch. Let's talk price of patch. Let's talk what it means.
Well, what patch means is today, Jim, the market-leading product from Eli Lilly, Forteo, is a daily subcutaneous product. So similarly, we developed a subcutaneous application because patch has been difficult for people to get right. So what was super exciting today was the new data where we've shown that a short wear time patch that would be put on, we estimate 5 minutes once a day, could be a potential replacement for what would be considered for a typical sub-Q. Now, these are microneedles, so they only penetrate the top layer of the skin, not even deep enough to feel.
All right, so if I'm my doctor's using the Lilly product, what's the difference? How does that work versus this?
Well, that's a pen that you use for a period of time and a daily subcutaneous injection, but it's a very small volume.
Okay. So cost, is this much cheaper?
Well, for osteoporosis, the cost of treatment is really a couple of different things. This year in America, more patients will be hospitalized for a longer period of time with osteoporotic fractures than are hospitalized with myocardial infarct or stroke.
So in other words, this can put people in hospitals more, and then once they're in hospitals, fatality rate?
There's mortality associated with fractures, but it's preventing that next fracture. When someone has a fracture, there's a window of opportunity to come in with anabolics that build bone to reduce the risk of that next fracture.
So let's just, because there's so many political issues these days involving drugs, how much can this save the system versus what we have right now?
Well, one of the things we talked about at the American Society of Bone and Mineral Research was what's called number needed to treat. And this is the question of how many patients would you have to treat to avoid one fracture? And the numbers that we showed are really remarkably low, not too dissimilar. Remember, with an HMG-CoA, if you treat 100 patients, you avoid a myocardial infarct. We showed that our numbers, whether it's for avoiding a vertebral fracture, non-vertebral fracture, major osteoporotic fractures, the numbers are all well lower than 100 to treat to avoid. So we think the ratio is the right ratio.
All right, now Lilly's a powerful company, and we would, one of the things that we could see, I mean, Lilly has patents, Lilly could say, well, you know, go to doctors and say, listen, we don't want you to use that. I mean, what is the system set up so that Lilly, the incumbent, does the incumbent have a big edge over you?
Well, it's really down to clinical data that, for physicians, leads to a decision of which drug to choose.
So really, it's like Lilly could have all the marketing power in the world. If the clinical data is better, Radius wins.
Well, in the U.S. today, there's a large number of patients who, when they have an osteoporotic fracture, may not be diagnosed and may not be offered treatment. So if you said in our healthcare system today, is there a need to fix what happens for osteoporotic patients? Absolutely, and fracture liaison services are there to connect patients up. So when we think about addressing the need, there are some issues around systemic care we want to change.
All right. Now, and last question. Some people were very, they're excited. The androgen receptors in breast cancer, which is very early on, but some people were very excited about what they saw today. If you can just give our audience a sense without, too much hope, because I know it's very far.
Well, in breast cancer, we have two different molecules. One is very early. It's not yet been tested in humans. So this is an early stage investigational drug that hits a new pathway for down.
So that would be like, we have Charles River Labs on all the time. Is it the type of thing that might be in rats, or is it just on the bulletin board?
For RAD 140, it's something that's currently being tested in rats.
Really?
But for 1901, we have a phase 1 trial in advanced metastatic breast cancer. We have confirmed clinical responses, and we're reporting that in December this year, the clinical results from that trial.
Well, then you have to come back when you do that, and congratulations on this little patch that obviously can save the system a lot and maybe save some lives, more importantly.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jim.
Good to see you. That's Bob Ward, President and CEO of Radius Health. Always has some good stuff. This seems like very special technology. Stick with Cramer. Booyah! Jim Cramer here from Mad Money. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube. Click here to subscribe and get the jump on my exclusives with CEOs, plus market news, investing advice, and a whole lot more.